Got my friendly holiday camp shirt, and I'm going to show you different ways to decorate it, and tie-dyeing happens to be one of my favorites. Now, we're outside my house, and it's already getting dark outside, of course, but we're pretending we're kind of camping. I'm going to show you the different ways to fold your shirts, and you can pick whichever one you want. Are you ready to get started?
Yeah!
One last thought about tie-dyeing is we notice with our shirts that we don't always get what we think we're going to get, and that's part of the fun of tie-dyeing. And don't let it frustrate you when you think that maybe your shirt is amazing and then you wash it and the dyes run together. We always wash our tie-dyes all separately, and sometimes it's a new adventure about what it's going to come out looking. You've noticed this shirt I wore in the rest of the video, I washed it with something that had some loose green tie-dye, and I ended up with a different shirt than I put in the washer. And I find that kind of fun. So just be prepared and don't get too upset if it doesn't turn out quite right. That's the fun of tie-dyeing. It's different every time. Enjoy. So we're inside for a second. Clearly you can tell it's daylight out. So I was looking over the videos that we shot when we tie-dyed and figured out that I never gave a really good supply list. I kept adding things here and there, and that's partly because I haven't actually done much tie-dyeing before, so it's all a little new to me. So I thought I'd stop real quick and give a really good supply list. The first thing that we had was our big tub. I'll put this back down. We used this. We soaked our t-shirts in 1 part vinegar, 1 part water, and we soaked them for at least 15 minutes. The longer you soak them, probably the better. So we needed our big tub, and yeah, that's the dishes tub you've seen before. Speaking of that, we used an old milk jug to put some water in. So we had our water. We have our vinegar, and I love the big ones. So we have our vinegar for the 1 part each for at least 15 minutes. And what we need is a t-shirt that we're gonna soak. Now, of course, I have a Friendly Hollow t-shirt, but you can take any t-shirt with your caregiver's permission. Permission first. Then you can pick any shirt that you guys agree on. Should say you all agree on. Gonna need some newspaper. Now this might not be enough. You see us using some newspaper, but make sure a newspaper. You may need a tablecloth like I have, definitely, or we take it outside, and that helps. You can lay some extra newspaper down to absorb the dye. Speaking of which, plastic to cover the workstation. Now, in our video, you'll see that we have a big clear plastic bag that we use, and that got thrown out because it's yucky when we were done. This is the one that I actually laid on my countertop when I washed shirts out, because anything that a wet tie-dye t-shirt, freshly made, and sometimes later too, touches will stain. Whatever, stain your countertop, it'll stain other clothes. We actually had that where some wet tie-dyes were touching each other, and we got some extra transfer, which kind of was cool. So, plastic bag. Speaking of plastic bags, I like to use a zip-top bag to store your shirt in while you're waiting. You have to wait 6 to 8 hours at least. We ended up waiting more because we got busy. So you'll want a zip-top bag. I like zip-top bags because you can seal the mess away. I know other people use grocery bags, and that works too. You just have to worry about there being some extra holes in your grocery bag in this way. Typically, new zip-top bag will not have, this is a gallon size. They work well. Next thing are some rubber gloves. Now, we were wearing clear ones, you'll see later. This is another pair that I happen to have that is not clear. You'll want to have probably 2 pairs, one for when you're tie-dyeing and one for later when you're washing out, because I kind of found out the hard way that I got some blue on my hands, and probably don't want to do that. You're going to need some rubber bands or string. Now, you may be able to reuse these rubber bands later for other tie-dye projects, but you may need to cut them off. If you need to cut them off, you'll need scissors. We just were able to pull ours off. You can also use string. if you don't have it, then you will need some scissors to cut your string. And again, even that string will absorb some tie-dye, so you got to watch where you put those things. The last thing that we're going to need is the tie-dye. Now, you'll want to prepare your tie-dye according to manufacturer's instructions. So we just mixed ours with water. I've heard you can put several other things in there. We just used water to keep it very simple. You can have as many or as few colors. We did some shirts before that actually were just one color, and they turned out pretty cool. So you can have whichever colors or however many colors that you want. So get ready to have some fun, again, with your caregiver's permission, and get ready for a mess. So, but have some fun. Now, before we start talking about different techniques of how to tie-dye your shirt, we should talk about how to prepare your shirt for tie-dyeing. With every shirt, you should make sure you wash it before. It needs to be free of skin oils and anything else that might be in it. And even if it's a brand new shirt, you need to get the sizing out of it before you go to tie-dye it, or it just won't work really well. Now for us, we have gone on and soaked our shirts in 1 part vinegar and 1 part water. And that'll help to soak the dye in a little bit better. We chose the vinegar and water solution because it's a little bit safer, because we're a lot messy. So this shirt is already wet and smells a little funky, but that's okay. You will want to do that ahead of time. There are different preparations for it, but that's the one that we have selected. Now we're going to talk about the fact that we're outside, and it's about 8:30 at night, so it's not quite so late, although it's looking pretty dark. Now we're outside because tie-dye is messy. Anything and everything that the dye touches will stain, including your clothes, your hair. That's why it needs to be pulled back. My bracelets need to come off, because if I get dye on them, they won't look the same. We want to do this outside instead of inside, because it gets on the floor, then it'll stain the floor, your carpeting. We will go ahead and lay out plastic where we're going to work. We will be doing this on the grass, so anything extra will soak into the grass. But just keep in mind that this is messy and it stains whatever it touches. But that's part of the fun of tie-dyeing. So I'll go ahead and show you how to fold your shirts.